Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Fast am I. Good evening. It's 5:30. This is Update for Wednesday, 21st of June, 2023. From Manx Radio, 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the Isle of Man. A background to that news and sport and business, Sea-Watch, travel updates and the newsmakers in person this evening. The airport's not an easy fix, says the Chief Minister. How do we deal with empty and dilapidated properties? The Bishop stays in Tynwald, but 8 MHKs voted against him. The funeral of Raul Torres Martinez took place today. Countdown to the Island Games, and there is no airmail leaving the Isle of Man tonight.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Fast am I, Lewis Foster.
Fast am I. New measures are on the cards to deal with empty and dilapidated properties on the island. Arbury Castletown and Maloo MHK Jason Morehouse's motion was passed during today's Tynwald sitting to make owners of these buildings pay 20% extra in rates. Treasury Minister Dr Alex Allinson proposed an amendment to cover all empty properties, which was also approved, and says he'll report back in November. Funeral proceedings have taken place for TT rider Raul Torres, who earlier received a huge turnout as his coffin was taken round the Snaefell Mountain course one last time. Fans, organisers and those presenting the races followed a hearse as part of the police-escorted convoy. And Manx cyclist Lizzie Holden has taken victory during the opening day of this year's British National Road Championships. The UAE Team ADQ rider topped the standings in the women's time trial event in a time of 37 minutes and 2 seconds, 14 seconds clear of her nearest competitor, Anna Morris. In the international news, 2 people have been stabbed at a hospital in northwest London, which was temporarily locked down around lunchtime. A man arrested is being treated for what police believe are self-inflicted wounds. The incident is not thought to be terror-related. In the next half hour, the US Coast Guard will give an update on the search to find the missing sub that was on its way to explore the wreck of the Titanic. It's believed the 5 people on board may only have around 20 hours of oxygen left. And it's thought the Bank of England will raise interest rates again tomorrow. It's after UK inflation remained at 8.7% last month, despite predictions it would fall slightly. Those are the headlines. We'll be back with more at 6 o'clock.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Goromaya, thank you, Lewis, from the Ronalds Way Met Office. There is no wind warning in operation for the North Irish Sea. State of sea is smooth or slight. And the weather, dry with some late sun this evening and a light variable breeze. It will continue dry after dark. Of course, it's the summer solstice. All downhill after today. Overnight minimum temperature 13 Celsius. And for Jardine, cloudy at first tomorrow, then sunny spells and a light variable breeze up to 21 Celsius and down to 14 through the night. Into Jehenya, Friday cloudy with occasional showers at first on a fresh to strong southerly wind and the possibility of coastal mist and fog. Top temperature 19 Celsius. Tide's on the way out. Low water is 21 minutes past 8 tonight. Sunset 5 to 10. High tide 28 minutes before 3 a.m. Sunrise at 4:45. And the morning low tide at 9 minutes past 9.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
The Chief Minister said action will be taken soon to try and find answers to staffing and other problems which are draining confidence in Manx air travel. The runway is currently being closed 5 times a day in order to ensure air traffic control staff have time for their mandatory breaks. The Council of Ministers will discuss the issue later this week, but Alfred Cannon, MHK, says there isn't an easy fix.
We are discussing it with the DOI. The Airport Management Council are going to get an update on Thursday, and we're going to explore whether there are other options for us to deliver consistency in the service levels in the short to medium term whilst this situation gets resolved. We need to change our approach. We need to get the full resourcing back in play, and of course recognise that we are the airline. The strategic approach that we're taking, the airport, is integral to us achieving the success that we're outlining in the island plan. This has become a more pressing issue because of one or two staffing issues that have subsequently occurred, meaning the available staff available to the airport director has decreased effectively. He's had to put in place a roster in according with to CAA regulations for safety, for flight safety, and I'm afraid my understanding is that it's not that simple, and simply going out, finding an air traffic controller from Heathrow or Gatwick and then just simply bringing them to the Isle of Man. That option just does not exist without giving them also substantial training in different areas of operational procedure that are particular to the island.
Funeral proceedings of the TT rider Raul Torres Martinez have taken place, which saw a hearse take its coffin round the Snaefell mountain course one final time. The procession saw an enormous turnout of fans, organisers and presenters involved in the world of famous races. Chief Constable Russ Foster and Deputy Sector Marshal John Darling told Manx Radio why they felt it was important to be there.
Well, firstly, I'll express my sincere condolences to the family, the loved ones, the friends of Raul Martinez. Clearly he took part in the TT races and unfortunately lost his life. I felt compelled to come today because my understanding is that Mr Martinez is in fact a serving police officer, so I did want to demonstrate my respects here as the Chief Constable of the Isle of Man Constabulary.
It was just further up the road from me that Raul had his unfortunate accident, which really cast a shadow over events because up to then there hadn't been very many unfortunate incidents or injuries during the practice and race week. So yes, very, very, very sad indeed. The TT obviously meant a lot to him. To be part of a tribute to him and of course all the other the riders, it seems very appropriate, especially as all the marshals later on will be doing a guard of honour at the actual funeral itself.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
Changes to the rules around petitioning on Tynwald Day should make it easier for Manx residents to submit petitions this year, says the Clerk of Tynwald, Jonathan King. He says Manx residents no longer need to prove they have a personal interest or grievance in a matter before bringing their case before Tynwald Hill.
The most important rule is that you have to petition about something which is not a court case. So if your gripe is with your neighbour and you think that their garage has spoiled your view and shouldn't have been given planning permission and should be pulled down, that's a private matter between you and your neighbour. However, if the thing that happened with your neighbour's garage actually illustrates in your mind that the whole planning system is in disarray, then that's a different matter, and that's something Tynwald can always take an interest in, because it affects not just you and your neighbour, but it affects everybody who lives in the island. The procedure exists for you. It is a right that you have as a person who lives in the Isle of Man, and so I would encourage anyone who's thinking about using this procedure to be bold and to use it, because that's what it's there for. The best way to do that is to start by reading our guidance, which is on the Tynwald website, and we've just published a new issue of that, a new edition. So I hope that's clear, but if it's not, please tell me. The thing it says, and I hope it says this clearly, is that you can always come and talk to me about your petition, and I'm very happy to advise face-to-face or by email or on the phone, whatever you like. And my job is not to help you win your argument against anybody else, but it is to help you get the right words down on the page which set out your case and which everybody will understand what exactly it is you're trying to get Tynwald to do and why.
2 weeks today, it is Tynwald Day, and 2 weeks this coming Saturday, the Island Games start in Guernsey, the 2023 Island Games. Manx Radio has been catching up with Manx Sports taking part. The first to publicly announce their team earlier this year was table tennis, and their team manager Maggie Mulhern explains how good it feels to see the games return after a long 4-year wait.
It's great really, because at one point we thought we'd never see them again. After COVID it really sort of mucked everything up for everybody and everything was getting put back again. So no, it's really great that Guernsey have decided to hold them. They should have held them in 2021, so it's great. We're all looking forward to get down to Guernsey. The table tennis coordinator, Derek Webb, he's had it in place since probably 2020 COVID. I know the tables have been in place down there, all wrapped up, ready to go. So from his point of view, it was probably quite easy just to get up and running again. Other sports, I'm not quite sure how they've got on, but table tennis is up and running. Basically, I'm hoping that everyone has a good time and enjoy themselves. If we come back with medals, that's a bonus. We'd like to build on what we did in Gibraltar. We did come back with 2 bronze medals.
What makes the Island Games special?
All the islands coming together. We're all in the situation where we live on an island surrounded by water. It's hard to get off to go and actually play anywhere else. We've got a team this year from Falklands. I don't know how many days it's going to take them to get there, but they were in Gibraltar. 2 of the gentlemen turned up in Gibraltar. They found a lady so they can put a team in this time. And it's just the friendships, I think, that you build. I mean, some of the players are still playing. My first games was 97, and you walk into the hall and the players that were playing in 97 are still there, okay. Some have moved up like me onto coaches or team managers, but you just sort of walk in and just carry on the conversation that you had with them last time you met. It doesn't matter if it's 2 years or in this case it'll be 4 years. I think it's just the friendships that you make, that they last for a lifetime really.
Sea-Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Motorship Ben McCree departed Heysham at 2:20 this afternoon. She'll be in Douglas Bay and Harbour in the next 20 minutes. Onto the Lynx Band, departing this evening at 7:45 for Heysham, arriving there at 11:30, and the overnight departure from Heysham 2:15, back to Douglas around 6 o'clock. High-speed craft Manannan left Douglas at 13 minutes to 3. She's on the Lynx Span in Liverpool, just by the pierhead. As I speak, will be departing at 7:15, back to Douglas tonight at 10. And tomorrow morning's departures, Manannan departs Douglas for Liverpool at 7:15, and Ben McCree heads to Heysham at 8:45.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
The Treasury Minister Alex Allinson MHK says island communities need a range of options to be able to deal with empty and dilapidated properties. It follows a Tynwald motion from Jason Morehouse MHK to make the owners of these buildings pay 20% extra in rates. Dr. Allinson proposed an amendment to cover all empty properties.
Legal definitions of what is a vacant or derelict building are lacking from the Ratings and Valuation Act 1953. These need to be published and agreed. Local communities need a range of options to bring buildings back into use. Douglas Borough Council have written to me expressing their frustration that despite feeding into the Treasury's consultation on domestic rates in March 2015 and again in April 2019, they feel effectively powerless. Treasury has worked with the Ramsey Town Commissioners to understand the extent of the problem in their town. Now is the time to empower, to reverse the status of zero rating where appropriate, and introduce a range of discretionary penalties to bring buildings back into use or trigger their disposal for development. The amendment before you expands on the original motion to include all empty properties. It commits the Treasury to look at the current legislation and decide how it can be strengthened, either through an escalation of rates or other financial penalties, to penalise those who deliberately allow properties to remain vacant and become derelict. This work has complexity, especially as properties may remain empty for a host of personal reasons, but the amendment commits to me returning to this Honourable Court in November with a plan and realistic timetable to start this much needed and much requested reform.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 16 minutes before 6, Halfords, the UK's largest retailer of motoring and cycle products and services, posted a decline in full-year profit, but said it expects to return to profit growth. Full-year pre-tax profit fell to £51.5 million from £89.8 million last year, coming in within the company's guided range. Revenue was up 15.3% to £1.6 billion. Halfords said it expects year-on-year profit growth in financial year 24 and is comfortable with the current analyst consensus expectations of £53.3 million for underlying pre-tax profit. To read a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookhall.com. Intel, the American multinational corporation and technology company based Trust in Santa Clara, California, is embarking on a massive investment program. It signed a €30 billion deal with the German government to build 2 chip manufacturing plants in Magdeburg. The German government's agreed to cover a third of the cost, making it Germany's largest foreign investment to date, with production on the factories beginning within 5 years. Intel's had a busy week. Last Friday, plans were announced for a €4.6 billion chip plant in Poland and a €22.9 billion one in Israel announced on Sunday. This investment in chip-making plants comes after Intel restructured itself to keep up with competitors like Samsung, Nvidia and AMD.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European markets lost ground after UK inflation data came in higher than expected. The dollar eased gains against the euro, oil stabilised and gold fell to a 3-month low. The numbers from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London. The FTSE 100 was down just over 0.1% at 7,559. The DAX in Frankfurt down 0.5% at the close at 16,023. And in New York City a short time ago, the Dow Jones Industrial up fractionally 0.05% at 34,069. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index down just over 1% at 13,509. And the S&P 500 in Chicago down 0.4% at 4,371. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling is trading at $1 27.2 cents, €1 16.2 cents, and 23 South African rand 40.9 cents. In commodities, gold down 0.25% at $1,931 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude up just over 2% at $76.95.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future for a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
If you have a news story for Manx Radio to investigate and report, email newsroom@manxradio.com or call 682 631 any time of day or night.
A significant proportion of yesterday's Tynwald sitting was taken up by members discussing a motion to remove the bishop's seat from within the Isle of Man's Parliament. 8 MHKs voted to get rid of the bishop from Tynwald, 16 to keep, while the LegCo, in which the bishop sits, rejected the notion entirely. The motion was brought forward by Douglas East MHK Joni Farragher.
I guess I think it's a bit of a shame and a lost opportunity, but it was important to get the will of Tynwald. I think it's interesting to note that the majority was in favour actually of the amendment to remove the vote, with the majority of Legislative Council being against that. So it failed because the Houses weren't in agreement. But it is good. It's good to note that the majority of Keys, I suppose, was in favour of the amendment which removed the vote. Well, I summarised them as five points, I suppose. One of them was the sort of impartiality or the objectivity of the voice, and I think for me, that's quite fixable. I think elected members really have got that. I should have that impartiality and objectivity themselves, and I don't. So for me, that wasn't really a very powerful argument, I suppose, in favour of it. There were several arguments put forward, and I broke them all down in my summary really, and talked about why I felt it was important that actually what we had was a parliament that was representative of the will of the people, and that if you didn't have people who'd elected you into the parliament, you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be sitting there. And that was overridingly my view, that really what we should be doing is moving towards a greater level of democracy, especially as society becomes more and more secular.
Manx Radio Sport.
Fast am I, Rob Pritchard.
Fast am I. Good evening. Starting with the 2023 World Summer Games, and it was a positive start to competition for Special Olympics Isle of Man in Berlin yesterday. The Ireland squad took its first medal on Tuesday as Thomas Dorr put in a brilliant performance to win bronze in the 200-metre race. Elsewhere, the 10-pin bowling squad finished fourth in their event in the German capital, whilst a spirited display from Harvey Shimin in the 15-kilometre road race saw him take a 7th place ribbon in an event where competitors battled through temperatures of around 30 degrees Celsius. Events are continuing today at the Games, which are running until Sunday. In cycling, Manx competitor Lizzie Holden has taken victory during the opening day of this year's British National Road Championships. The UAE Team ADQ rider topped the standings in the women's time trial event in a time of 37 minutes and 2 seconds, 14 seconds clear of her nearest competitor Anna Morris. Meanwhile, fellow Ireland competitor Max Walker secured a podium finish in the men's under-23 time trial. The Trinity Racing rider claimed second place, only 21 seconds behind Sam Piran's Josh Charlton, who took top spot. Meanwhile, Max's brother, Zach Walker, placed 24th overall in the event for the Tudor Pro cycling team, 3 minutes behind the winning time. Holden and the Walker brothers are three of several Isle of Man competitors taking part in the championships in Redcar and Cleveland, which run until Sunday. And in hockey, Manx player Sienna Dunn has been selected once more for the England under-18 girls squad, this time to take part in the Euros in Germany next month. The confirmation of Dunn's place comes after the former Valkyries and now Repton player had been part of the training squad since January. Since then, she's taken part in numerous friendlies as part of the selection process, including trips to take on squads from France, Belgium and Ireland. The 2022 Isle of Man Under-21 Sportswoman of the Year's final preparations for the Euros will be at Lilleshall next week, where they host 2 games against Germany.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Everything looks okay at Ronald's Way tonight. The 5:25 Loganair from Manchester came in 5 minutes early. Next inbound, the 10:08 Loganair from London City, showing on time. The 5:08 patient transfer return Loganair from Liverpool on time. And the 25:09 EasyJet from Gatwick currently showing on time. Outbound, the 6 o'clock Loganair to Liverpool is on time. Then it's the 9:05 EasyJet back to Gatwick on time. It may be over by now, but there's still those temporary 24-hour lights on the TT course south of Kirkmichael for substation work due to finish fairly shortly. In Onchan, Falkland Drive's closed for water main work. Temporary lights on Ballacottia Crescent by the Isle of Man Business Park in Braddon for water main work. And there are temporary 24-hour lights on the Sulby Strait for duct installation. Lights on the Ramsey Road near St Patrick's View Peel for emergency electrical work. And East Quays closed between the House of Manannan and the road bridge in Peel for work on the road and pavements. Temporary lights on the TT course at Glen Helen, they're felling trees there, and lights on Cumberland Road, Ramsey for resurfacing. Ballacollister Road in Laxey's closed between Croyty Quill Road and Rental Hill for resurfacing. Lights on the main road in Dalby and Ballymena Road, Jerby's got phase closures for water main replacement, and also lights on Ballacomine Road, Douglas for resurfacing.
H&H Motorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646.
Unemployment in the Isle of Man is down by just over 6% for May, standing at 246 people out of work. By comparison, that's 18 fewer than the same period in 2022. That story from Christian Jones.
The latest data released by Statistics Isle of Man show 153 males and 93 females were registered unemployed in May last month. The International Labour Organization estimates a total of 691 individuals are unemployed and looking for work, equating to an unemployment rate of 1.5%. The ILO measure includes not only those who are claiming job seekers allowance, but also those who are not registered but may still be looking for work. Sectors identified to be among those with the largest vacancy rates include catering, retail and the medical and health sectors. Long-term unemployment, which is classified as those out of work for 12 months or longer, has increased on April's figure. The largest proportion of long-term unemployed people is seen in the 55 and upwards age bracket at 48%. Geographically, the east of the island is home to the most unemployed people at 155. The north, south and west stand at 42, 33 and 16 respectively.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690-300.
Just a quick reminder, the aircraft providers notified Isle of Man Post that due to an issue with the aircraft, they're unable to dispatch mail this evening. Mail will be collected as normal and dispatched as soon as possible. Tynwald's agreed to extend childcare support down to the age of 1 to level up child benefit and Sure Start payments and increase maternity allowance. service. The recommendations were made at the Tynwald sitting yesterday. Chair of the Population and Rebalancing Committee is Michelle Haywood, MHK.
I think the thing to recognise is if you extend childcare vouchers down to the age of 1, what's happening is that allows mums to go back to work. And within a year of stopping your career, you can usually step back in. But it also then creates demand for local nurseries because more families can afford to send their child to the local nursery. And that's money that's all going back into the local economy. This is not money that's being spent off island. So I think that that's just a huge help for families to be able to afford their mortgage, to be able to afford childcare, to be able to go back into work knowing that those spaces are going to be there ultimately. We can look and you can see economic indicators for women returning to work and things after they've had a child because they know a year they'll be able to access childcare. We looked at the Scottish model for the Sure Start payments, so it would be a payment before baby's born, before they start nursery, before they start primary school, secondary school, those expensive bits where you have to get X amount of school uniform all in one go. And that makes a real difference to those families. A very simple form to apply for it, but makes a real difference at those times when children suddenly cost substantially more. I'm anticipating that some things like the uplift in child benefit for second and subsequent children should come through reasonably fast. I know I spoke with the Treasury Minister and they've worked out costed plans for all of this. So not all of that cost kicks in straight away, but I know that I've got the commitment from the Treasury Minister. So I absolutely hope that within the 3 years we've seen substantial moves.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Lewis Foster, producer Rhiann Evans. After the news at 6 o'clock, we're in the world of the arts with Spotlight and Howie Kane, the greatest hits with Chris Kinley. At 6:30, the Opera Hour with Ernie Thorns on at 9, and After Hours, Rhiann Evans and The Late Show from 10. I'm Andy Wint, back with another update tomorrow at 5:30.
WINT.